stutter.
I'm getting dropped. Hello! Oh, Reese isn't here. 1 second. Why aren't you showing up? There you are.
Hello.
Oh. And now you've frozen. So there are some tech issues. I'm not gonna lie, we're having some tech issues. But we'll fix that somehow. Tell you what, I'm gonna delete you, Reese, and you can come back in. Yeah, let's remove that. Now, I'm assuming you're not just sat there very still. Why isn't this working? This is very annoying.
Don't know. You've got a picture. You haven't got the video feed.
Yeah, I've got a picture of you.
Can they hear me?
I don't think people can even hear you. Someone in the comments say if you can hear Reese.
Yeah, if you can hear me, say now.
Let's try that. I mean, it will be weird if you do this entire thing as a frozen picture.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying. I'm trying not to. I mean, you can see in Skype that I'm moving around.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear both. So Dan says you can hear both of us.
Which is great.
But,
so your thing's coming through.
Me.
I do not know why your I don't know why your image is frozen. I
mean, they've seen what I look like right now. So, I mean, if you just end up deleting me, I can just be the audio on this call. That's fine. If that's going to be easier. I mean, I wish I hadn't got dressed up now, frankly.
There you go. So, welcome to the stream. We're having some tech issues. This is the beauty of... So, yeah, we're having some issues. Because every time we try and fix one problem, like Reese can't hear the sound or whatever, another problem rears its ugly head. So, let's work out how this works.
Just bear with us for a moment.
Bear with us for a moment.
This is not part of the show, Liam.
This isn't
very much not part of the show. Yeah. Sorry, do bear with us for a few moments. Aren't you glad we don't do a Patreon now? Because if you were paying for this, you'd be furious. So.
Yeah.
I look smart if frozen. As someone did correctly point out, I am actually wearing something that looks like it's from Star Trek because it is a replica of the jacket that Captain Pike wears in Season 2 at the very beginning of Star Trek Discovery.
That is true.
Not just the jacket, actually. I'm also wearing the trousers and boots, but you're never going to see those. So.
Let's try you again. Because partly also the way we're getting your sound route is through something else. So I kind of need to have you, and you might as well try and get your image. Because it's going to be strange otherwise. Let's see if bringing you in again works. Just thinking about it. Nope, same image.
No, apparently, Rob, you're glitching too.
Great. Oh, it's because your image is frozen on Skype itself.
Shall I hang up and come back?
Yeah?
Right, back in a sec.
Reese is going to disappear for a bit. One of the curious things about moving our work largely onto the internet, because we haven't got any at the moment, is the rapid speed with which we're having to learn new things. And one of the new things is all of this. All of this. Right. Talk amongst yourselves in the comments. Alex says from comments and say, turn it on, off and on again. Apparently that always works. I mean, that is effectively what we're doing. We're just turning Skype off and on again. For those of you following want to know the tech drama here, is that the problem we had is that with Zoom, you can't take NDI data from the call. And therefore, the only way of seeing Reese whilst Reese also being able to hear the video that I'm playing is to have Reese, a kind of a recursive loop of the video showing rather than Reese's face. So we move over to Skype, which provides you with NDI data, but Skype is, for some reason, way less stable. And may have just crashed. There we go. There we go. So don't worry, we will get this working. It may involve loading up Zoom and fiddling with a bunch of settings and running it through Zoom. We'll make it work. Or doing what we did 2 weeks ago, which is just Reese having to follow along, barely being able to hear it. We can also work that. or running off a different machine. Got what it takes. I've always got Reet Petite stuck in my head because I was just watching Only Connect, and on Only Connect, one of the questions they were doing, one of the missing vowels was Christmas number ones, and Reet Petite was an answer. Yeah, while I'm here, I'll do some questions. Sense also says in the comments, when shows come back, how long will it take you to grow your moustache to a suitably twirly length again? It's remarkably quick to get it to a point where you can twirl it. Although my hair is very straight, so it doesn't naturally curl. So it doesn't really twirl, it just kind of goes out and out and out into a point like that. But if I just give it a couple of weeks, enough time that I'll know a show is coming. Not enough time to know whether the show will be cancelled again or not. But at some point I'll start regrowing something. You can usually, there's like a middle ground of badly kept beard that they can then be reshaped into pointed moustache. Or maybe I'll be doing this on my own because Reese appears to have disappeared. I know. That's Emma, our producer. So I've stopped my camera because I was worried it was absolutely killing the bandwidth. Because that is one of the newer factors we've worked into this.
The microphone wasn't working last week.
Yeah, microphone wasn't working last week, but now is. Oh. Are you on your phone? Well, there you go. All right, let's see how this works. All right, let's try this. La la la. I mean, in a way, that's reassuring because knowing it's broken your end makes my life easier in terms of fixing this. There you are.
No. Actually, yes. Can you get me the charging cable for my phone, please? Thank you. Hello, everyone. Sorry about the horrendous technical issues. We had a combination of both computers deciding to throw massive wobblies at once. So welcome to the stream.
Welcome to the stream.
Okay, Emma, my producer, has just brought me a charging cable. So thank you very much.
So you don't. So yeah, it's worth noting that Reese will be watching this stream through Skype on their phone, seeing the screen that I'm seeing, which also has all of the other gubbins going on.
If I turn myself sideways, is that going to cause issues? It is,
I can probably turn you sideways. There must be a way of doing that.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
I would really hope so. Maybe not.
I might just have to hold it. I'll hold it. Tell you what. I'll hold it. There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's fine. I'll hold it. Hello.
Morgan and West, we're professionals.
This has been testing. So thank you for bearing with us, everyone. So yeah, welcome.
It's been a fun week, isn't it?
And now now we're going to get feedback. No. There we go. Right, 45 of you still with us. Bless you. God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless you, everyone. Right, okay, let's get on with this. Hello.
We'll crack on with this. Actually, before we go, we have some up top business, like a village hall talking about people parking on the common.
I got dressed up like this for this.
Yeah, we got dressed up and everything, and it's completely gone to pot. I sadly have. So my suit stops at the ankle. Below that, I'm not going to lie, it's fluffy slippers. Because it's too cold to not be wearing fluffy slippers indoors. So, here's the conundrum that we've been faced with, is that we're about to watch Crime Solving Magicians, which was our 2011 show. Next week, we've dug out footage of Clockwork Miracles, our 2012 show. After that, we're going to watch A Grand Adventure, which is our 2013 Edinburgh show. After that, we basically don't have footage.
No, we've run out.
We've run out because we didn't film our 2014 show in the form that it was in, and then after that, essentially, the material we'd be watching is our current touring material in the form it currently exists. So, it's we don't want to watch that thing and critique ourselves because we would then theoretically go and do a gig and do the same stuff. That feels like an odd choice. So our thought was, these are quite fun. They give us something to do in the week other than staring into the void. So we're
enjoying them. You are. So.
Yeah, we're enjoying them, and you're here, so I guess you're enjoying them. So if there's something else you can think that we might be able to do this kind of thing for, let us know. You can email us through our website. You can tweet at us. You can put us on. You can go on Instagram at Morgan and West, or various other methods of communication. I assume we're not on TikTok. We don't know what that is. Maybe we'll do that in lockdown. You know, we'll get big into the TikToks. Something about that.
Something about that. But no, genuinely, if you got any ideas, let us know. We would love to know.
Yeah.
God, this is so uncomfortable. This just doesn't.
Whereas this suit, I have 3 suits that belong to my grandfather, who was a natty dresser, great dancer, and cabbie. And they were left to me after he went to the great taxi rank in the sky, as it were, and it's actually very comfortable. And a natty 3-piece suit. And fluffy slippers. They weren't his. I bought those from M&S.
This costume is definitely designed to be stood up in. It's not designed for being sat down in. I can now understand why in Next Gen they constantly...
because Captain Pike spends a lot of time sitting down.
I mean, it's also probably designed for someone who isn't as weirdly shaped as I am. Because, as you know all too well, because you often make waistcoats for me, I'm essentially quite a weirdly shaped cylinder.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, in the coming months, I will be making some new costumes for Reese, and we'll have to take a series of intricate measurements because no normal pattern size will fit Reese because of their tubular body.
We used to do a trick that involved me squeezing through a very small hole at one point during the trick, and for years we thought it was because back then I was 6 stone heavier than I am now. Just get bruises from it, real severe bruises from it. And then when I lost a load of weight and as a result thinned down a lot, we discovered that no, it's just that got just genuinely big boned in the chest.
Just the shape.
Genuinely big.
Just how we roll.
Yeah.
Oh, so actually,
right,
we better get going. One thing in the comments talking about things we might do once we run out of shows. Tom Mortishire Smith, great name, suggests we can always do our Penn and Teller appearances. We've already actually spoken about one thing we might do is do all 3 of our Penn and Teller appearances, including the one that never got aired, and sort of talk about the progression through them. The secret one.
The secret one.
Let's be clear, tech issues are going to happen again, because as I change scenes, I'm going to have to put Reese's camera back in. So we might pause at the top for me to sort Reese out and put them somewhere on the screen.
Professional.
Let's see what happens. We're going to pause there. Because now
I'm there. I'm in the screen.
You're in the screen. I need to put myself back in now, because that source is now frozen. That's a bit big, if anything.
That is a bit big.
It's just a bit big.
Tom Mortimer Smith says, you probably don't remember me, but I did Card to Pocket for you at the Big Ten in Bollington back in May 2019. We did a kids show in Bollington in May 2019, so we didn't do Card to Pocket.
No, I think Tom Bollington might have come up to us at the end of the show and shown us a Card to Pocket routine.
Oh no, I remember. Yes, I remember now. Yeah.
I'll be honest, Tom, I couldn't pick you out of a lineup, but I do remember being shown that at some point.
I remember you coming up and showing the trick. Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Also, the Bollington Festival, much bigger than we thought it would be. Anyway, I think we're working. I'm assuming you can all hear us. I'm assuming you can hear the sound. If not, put in the comments that the tech is once again having kittens. Otherwise, this is Crime-Solving Magicians at the Oxford Fringe.
Background. Probably give a bit of background. There's a trailer that you can watch the show. That's on YouTube, which I put a link to on Twitter. The idea behind this show was it was 2011. We'd spent a year writing this show and teaching. We were teachers at the time. Fully fledged teachers now, or NQTs, newly qualified teachers to use the lingo. And we were writing this. It's at the same time whilst writing this, we filmed 2 separate Penn and Teller appearances. This is from June 2011 at the Ox Fringe. This is, so it's just after we filmed our second Penn and Teller filming, first Penn and Teller appearance. And little did we know that when we took this to the Edinburgh Fringe, because we were only in an 80-seat room and Saturday night television was still a thing in 2011.
It's all pre-Netflix, basically.
the run was going to sell out really quickly. But this is, if you watched last week, we were starting to get a bit silly, starting to enjoy things a bit more. This is much more on the silly end. It's a bit more experimental. There's a bit of a plot running through this one.
I would basically say that this is closer to the modern day. This is obviously it's closer in time.
I can imagine rewriting this and redoing it.
Yeah, you can see the shape of what's to come. So let's start. Obviously, let us know about levels and things, but here we go.
I haven't got any audio. No, I haven't got any audio at all.
Any sound at all? Great.
I've now got you, but I didn't have any. I didn't have you for a second.
Of course, you've got me. Why do you not have audio? Oh, hang on. Let me.
Could you hear it on YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube. Could you hear the sound coming out? We have to wait 30 seconds for you to reply now. So you should be getting
Audio's
that
fine on that end.
Audio's fine on that end. I take it we're just going to press on then. I mean, to be fair, the writing in this probably isn't great.
I know, as in, could you hear the show? Could you hear the voiceover from the show?
Yeah, I believe they can. Yeah. Great.
We'll rewind, start it from the beginning.
We'll rewind, start from the beginning. Reese might have to just work out what's going on. That's a knife. You can't see it, but that's a knife sticking out of me. A plastic knife.
Few cases stand out in the memory more than that of corpulent conjurer Rhys Morgan and his pint-sized partner in prestidigitation, Rob West. After all, most murder inquiries don't concern the world's greatest Victorian magic duo. After all, it's not often that you get a high-profile double homicide in the middle of the Oxford Fringe. And after all, most cases are not investigated by the victims themselves.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rhys Morgan.
I'm Robert West.
Together we are Morgan and West.
Which you may well have guessed.
And we're not just magicians.
Oh no.
We are also time travellers.
Which you may not have guessed.
And on a recent jaunt to the future,
to read our own review,
we discovered that we had been murdered.
You certainly hadn't guessed.
And we're rather ticked off about it.
Ticked off.
You're going to have to lead them talking on this because I can't hear anything.
We're establishing the plot, so I'm letting people listen.
We made our sticky ends. Our sticky ends here in the city of Oxford in the month of June.
Now, you might well think that we'd avoid the sight of our own murder like Dickens avoids brevity.
But that's exactly what the killer expects.
So we've got legitimate magical powers.
All of you lot.
And 55 minutes to solve our own murder. Put the kettle on.
I'm just going to pause there so that everyone can catch up with the premise of this show. So, the idea is that we have gone to the future because we're time travellers and found out that Morgan and West, but not the then us, the future Morgan and West, have been killed. And then we've gone back in time to solve that murder. And that is the premise of the show.
Yeah. And the show opens, as you've seen, with Mr. West, possibly from the future, staggering on, putting a small box on that
and
little
a birthday
sort of,
card. A small box and a birthday card on that thing.
And then discovering that he has a knife in his chest and staggering out through the curtain, and then almost immediately walking back on in an entirely different costume. That was always fun every day.
Yep. But yeah, so that's where we are with the show. The rest of it, I'm not gonna lie, there is a theme, but the rest of it is mostly just magic tricks.
The most is just magic tricks. Catherine Steiner says, which Oxford theatre was this? This is the Simpkins Lee Theatre in Lady Margaret Hall College, which was where a lot of Oxford Fringe shows were done back when the Oxford Fringe existed. Yeah. And that was that. It's a nice little sort of 150 seat theatre in a college in Oxford, but it's a multi-purpose room. So it's as theatres in colleges go, it's not bad. It's got about 4 lights, so that's helpful. No backstage. Behind that curtain is a wall.
Yep, just a wall, which I had to very quickly get changed behind. But yeah. So basically that's the premise. Again, we're gonna talk over some of the talking to come because a lot of these tricks are not that well scripted.
As soon as the duo learned of their untimely demise, they rushed out to find would-be witnesses and potential passers-by. However, they soon learned that eyewitness testimony isn't all it's cracked up to be.
I think that piece of card we wrote out is called The Trouble with Memory. It says The Trouble with Memory.
So we had chapter titles for each bit. Chapter 1 was The Trouble with Memory. Later, Liam, who was designed and composed a lot of the music in this, actually, he would do nice printings of everything, and it all looked really nice. But we wanted sort of it to feel very episodic.
Yeah, I think we were going for the idea that it's sort of like a mystery show story thing, and so it's meant to be very kind of elaborate. The one thing that you need to know about what we were just talking about on stage is that we've pointed out that eyewitness testimony is difficult, and the things you remember about someone might be the colour of their jacket or waistcoat or cravat. That will come into play momentarily as we get on with this otherwise very convoluted trick.
Mm-hmm. The voiceover in this show, I think, is just me or you.
It's you.
I think it's me.
It's you doing it.
But in the finished version of the show, it was a gentleman called
Optical light augmenting
Matt.
object imaging device.
Liam, what's Matt's surname?
Now, so what we're going to do.
Also, again, with the jokes that don't read well when you can't make out the definition on the screen, the painted optical light augmenting rapid object imaging device obviously just says Polaroid.
Light augmenting rapid.
Yeah,
Polaroid.
It says a Polaroid.
1, 2, 3, crime!
I'm starting to realise that as your bandwidth drops, you keep get bigger and smaller.
This image will instantly appear.
That camera there that was a nightmare to find because Polaroid. Matthew Woodcock, there we go. Thanks, Liam.
Yeah.
He did the voiceover for the actual Edinburgh show. That camera was a nightmare to find because Polaroids weren't made around the period of about 2010, 2011. So it's a lomography kind of really hipster camera that did instant photos.
Yeah.
Because we needed something that did instant 3-minute photos.
Whereas weirdly, nowadays, you would obviously just use someone's phone. Because reliably, everyone has a phone on them that can do a good quality picture of the person and thing. It doesn't fix the inherent flaw with this trick. Again, I can't remember what that sign says, but that sign is effectively using one of the classic Morgan & West bits of Reese is keeping this person busy, while at the same time, I'm holding up a sign that says, don't laugh, I'm doing some business, essentially. As you can see, I'm getting change behind that person's back. The premise behind this trick is that they are not going to notice that we've got changed. Problem is, that's not a very good stage trick.
No. It's kind of like, it's an interesting curio, is what it is.
Yes.
Also, it's really slow, this bit. Oh my god, it took me so long to get checked. There's a couple of nice moments in this.
Well, that's because she's dealing 40 cards into my hands. She's dealing 40 photos into my hands. So she's got a deck of photos of famous people that we have met through time. Yes, the Ace Magpie. Oh, he's from the Monster Hunters podcast. He absolutely is.
Yep.
Matthew Woodcock is from the Monster Hunters podcast.
Absolutely.
And the idea was that I was memorizing... The trick that they were getting was I was memorizing 40...
pictures of people
videos,
we met.
photos, rather. 40 photos.
Mr. Morgan is going to try and do slightly better than that. In fact, try and record the order of every single image. So first we must turn our backs, just so you...
Apparently the video is getting up.
Nothing I can do about that.
Now, as you do this, you must, if he calls the right name, you must say...
Now, obviously, without meaning to spoil this for anyone, obviously, in real life, Reese can't memorise 40 cards in a row. Except for the one show where the method for this went quite badly wrong, and Reese basically had to do that, and essentially just sort of did it live and guessed, not guessed, but did have to sort of deal with some of it.
I managed to do it.
Oh yeah, you did it. You did it. You absolutely did it.
Emily Pankhurst, Queen Victoria.
Wouldn't want to do it every night.
No.
Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Marie Curie. Albert Einstein.
Yes.
I mean, let's face it. This is basically an idea for a TV trick, isn't it? Because on TV, you would edit out the very long process of us changing costume, or you'd have someone come on and help you do it.
Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple.
Because like the slow bit here is picking up a jacket or putting down a jacket.
Winston Churchill, Annie Oakley. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Marilyn Monroe. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Marilyn Monroe. H.G. Wells.
The few moments of this I do like. I like the moment where I pass the hat while she's not looking, and Reese just comes and takes it. I feel like by the end...
We got that in Edinburgh, we got it much smoother, where I think we swapped that simultaneously, I think.
I think what we did...
I have a feeling you put yours on my head.
I think what we did in Edinburgh is that I threw mine to you, and you caught it while putting the other one in my hand, I think is what we did.
Ah, yes.
Crushingly in the comments, Matthew has said, why are you changing costumes?
Carol, Ella Fitzgerald, Mother Teresa, and Charles Darwin.
Watch begin.
Yeah, well, that's from the beginning. Basically, the idea is that the person on stage won't notice we've changed costumes. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you're not meant to be holding my hat at that point.
No.
So you on. Now, we quickly realised when investigating our demise that your ability to recall events had nothing to do with how good your memory was.
Quite.
In fact, it was much more to do with how good you were at spotting
The little details.
You would think that something as shocking as a brutal murder would be easy to remember, wouldn't you?
One would assume that a witness would be able to easily identify those involved by the waistcoat.
So the other problem with this trick was the secondary reveal is showing the person in the front row a tiny, not very well distant camera and saying, are we now wearing something different? And them going, oh yes, so you are.
But also, because they're in the audience, the audience can't see them reacting, so they just kind of go, yeah.
Quickly realised that despite having
there is a reason that is not in our repertoire today.
Solving murders. Still, with a time machine at their disposal, they had all of history to learn from. Where better to start than with the greatest detective of all?
Oh, so that board says, Chapter 2, A Study in Sherlock.
When learning the skills necessary to solve your own murder, who better to turn to than that world-famous Sherlock Holmes, whose keen observation,
Cognitive extrapolation
and mastery of rational thought more than make up for his fictitious nature.
What better way to test our newfound skills of super sleuthery?
Matthew, no need to apologise. We're glad you're here.
We're glad you're here.
Please don't worry
You
about
missed all the
arriving.
tech fun at the start.
Sherlock had Moriarty,
Javert had Valjean.
and Detective John Barnaby.
Speaking of tech fun, I'm getting sound cutting in and out intermittently.
Good.
Now we've been reliably informed that our very own arch nemesis is within this very room. So,
So if you watched last week with Time Travelling Magicians, if you didn't, go back and watch it. This is what the Sherlock Holmes trick became.
Cunning to conceal that secret identity behind a veil of normality.
and in case anyone here is thinking, well, I don't have a secret identity, not to worry. Because everyone here was once,
Or still is.
a child. And every child at one time or another decides what they want to be when they grow up, their dream occupation. So I'd like you now all to think of what did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream occupation? That is your secret identity.
So it's interesting here that we'd realised that when you're doing mind reading, you need to get the audience as a whole invested in it. And the way that we get them invested in it here is by asking everyone to think of something that they can definitely think of. Because everyone remembers what they wanted to be when they were a kid.
And also,
I
you can just
definitely
make
wanted to
it
be an
up if you
archaeologist
don't
at the age.
remember. If you don't remember, you just go, I don't know this.
Yeah.
But importantly, what we're doing here is we want to create information that... I taught him. He was in my form group. You want to create information that the audience themselves will know is different. So they will probably, I'm assuming, Alex, who I used to teach, will write swimmer because he was a very, very capable swimmer. But importantly, we want the rest of the audience to go, I'd put scientist, I'd put train driver, I'd put racing driver, because that says to them, when that person goes, if they'd got me up, it would have been something different.
1, 2, 3. Scissors!
You just dropped those scissors. As we said, this is an early preview.
Have you finished writing? Fold it up once in half like a book, and once in half again into quarters. Yes, done. Thank you. actually. Yes.
What did you do? Oh, has he got the pipe now? I can't. So, oh yes, you've taken the thing that he's written on, put it in the pipe, and given it to Alex, and I've got a second pipe. That's what's going on, isn't it?
You do have a secret underground lair, right? Splendid! And as everyone knows, every good secret underground lair should have a super secret code word, something around 5 letters long. Are you thinking of a 5-letter word? Excellent. That is your super secret code word and must be protected at all costs. And so we would like you now to think of a completely unrelated word.
A completely unrelated word.
A completely unrelated word to your super secret code word.
You have a completely unrelated word in mind.
Yes. What is that completely unrelated word? Banana.
What should you think now?
So this is effectively the same trick we did last week, but it's just clearly much better. I mean, it's the same trick, but we've clearly sort of hit on what the performance bit of it is, and I think we've slightly changed the method as well. Exactly. Chris Reed will remember from last week the super secret code word, and you can see us as well as the shows go on. I think start to use. You get this is now my stage voice, whereas in the early videos of ours, we very much weren't using our stage voices, and now we are sort of starting to sound like Morgan and West. And that kind of like super secret code word is a very sort of Morgan and West timbre to use as well.
Question the third.
Question the third.
A ruffian seems intent on engaging you in fisticuffs. What combative stance would you assume?
Has Ruth gone?
Oh, yeah.
I feel we've met our match here, all right. Like that. Yes, really.
Oh, yeah. Thought Reese was just being very quiet. One moment, we've lost Reese. Lovely producer Emma was just informing that Reese has gone. I thought he just sat very still. I'm watching the show. Tech problems. Nothing but a crazy bunch of tech problems. Oh, you're back.
Hello.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know you were gone.
Skype. No, I know you didn't. We can't use Skype again. It's not stable.
No, it's really not stable at all. Really not stable at all.
No.
But and someone pointed earlier and went, "Oh my god, they both have producers." No, this is the people we live with.
Yeah.
But
yeah, these are the wonderful people that we live with.
Yeah.
Also, people have now noticed that I haven't blinked for a long time.
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, they're like, wow, Reese is really into this. But I mean, I think it speaks a lot to the length of our career that I don't really pay attention to what we're doing anymore.
The chat's just mentioned 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
I'm now very loud.
Yeah, I've tried to dial you down a bit. I think speak for me so people can hear you.
1, 2, 2. Check.
Yeah, that sounds alright in my ears, and that's as best as I can do. Technology, we're doing Sherlock with a guy I used to teach.
Awesome, what did you do?
Someone asking me questions actually, like, was it weird performing with your students? Yeah, we said that thing, I think last week about saying it's weird performing in front of your parents or people that knew you from like your sort of quote unquote old life. It was extra strange because I probably went into school the next day and did registration with that kid.
Yeah, you would have. I probably would have. This would have been a Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, so a couple of days later we would have been back in class being like, thanks for coming. That's what I do on the weekends.
Your stance. Very, very hot. Perhaps. Yes, I think I have.
It's been a while since we've done this, so I can't tell if you're struggling with a reveal here or you're just doing a bit of acting.
I'd like to say, by Jove!
Could be either. Could be either, man.
And the audience will be consumed with rapturous applause.
It's your super secret code.
You got it.
Then, probably wouldn't get it right these days.
One thing more than anything else you want it to be, your dream occupation, your secret identity. And obviously, as we get older, we leave those dreams behind us. They'll affect us. They will shape us.
Classic bit of Mr. West talking very quickly here.
Precisely. And tonight,
some would say too quickly.
Your dream occupation. For what have you told us? You've told us you put your voice on before your cravat, which tells us you focus on the large vision, and therefore have big dreams and big goals. You said you would put the tea in before the milk because you are a rationalist and practical, and therefore there's something distinctly
It
practical.
also looks like you're going to swing from it any moment, the way you're moving your arms around.
And to be fair, there were kids in my form group I happily would have swung for. But actually, no, he was very nice.
There would be no conflict in this.
I'm obviously joking, I would never hit a kid.
There isn't something to
Especially not one who's a clear foot taller than me. Look at him, he's massive.
I mean, he would destroy you. He would absolutely destroy you.
do not smoke, so you look after your health. You wanted to be a swimmer, didn't you?
And I feel really bad about that. So I said that, you didn't hear it, I said, you wanted to be a swimmer, didn't you? And because one of the strange things is when you pick someone up you know because they're the only people that are available to you or whatever, you do end up thinking going, annoyingly, I do know that about you, so there's no trick for you. And obviously, we're magicians, we don't rely on picking people from the audience. So the mechanism of me knowing that was not, I know this kid and I teach him. But for him and his friends, who I'm assuming were also in the audience at this point, they must have gone, well, that was lame.
We've uncovered the forgery.
Excellent. And the painting?
Yep, we got that as well right here.
Fantastic. And the forgeries?
Yes, also right.
Which ones are the forgeries? Which one's the real one, in fact?
So this is a trick that we call forgery, where it still is in the touring version of Time Travel Magicians today, but we've made new props and what have you, and we do it with kids because it works quite nicely on kids. But it's just quite a fun little premise. When we were writing the show, one of the things we sort of did and sat down was go, right, well, what are the sort of archetypes
of crime? What are the crimes we can do? For crimes of magicians, what crimes can we solve? And so we very quickly moved away from that to what's anything related to crime, which is how we ended up with the Sherlock. But this one was like a forgery thing. At one point, we wanted to do like an identikit trick. That never worked.
We had a few ideas for it, and it never really flew.
It's the very first forgery.
I also can't remember what this one was called.
There's a four identical pictures of us. They are identical in every way. And we're just asking to try and tell them apart. So there's kind of comedy in the idea that you can't tell them apart.
But we're assuming that person's an art expert and can somehow tell them apart. We usually use a child for this. So this is the kind of the point in our career where we're starting to have routines where we're like, you can definitely use a child for this, and we'll specifically use the youngest kid in the audience because really we're saying, say 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So cast your eyes over the remaining ones and decide which one is our last forgery.
Number 3.
Or number 4. It was marked up as our last forgery. Thank you, the art expert Ben. You really have done us.
So it's also in the comments says, how long does it take to make props? Ages. It was a lot of very accurate cutting and sticking.
Fiddly pain backside.
Yeah, they're a huge pain.
Well, and also we went through several iterations of these things.
Yeah, we had
several
a whole bunch of ideas we originally had did not work at all.
Liam will remember
the iterations, yes.
So that joke is, I'm just like, well, we can just check the lab results that I got this morning. And Rob's like, why have we got lab results? So this is the start of the Mr. Morgan's bit of an idiot, and Mr. West gets very frustrated with. I think this is one of the first gags.
Probably is, yeah, because like when you were doing Watson and I was doing Holmes way sillier than you were doing Watson. Yeah. Unsurprisingly, they got it right. Yes, this is in our Penguin Life, yes.
I did notice that picture number 1, we are in fact the wrong way round.
I did notice in picture number 2, I'm upside down.
Of course, in picture number 3, the colour is just a little
So the trick there is that the pictures they choose as forgeries are very, very clearly forgeries.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what you don't get to see there is that there is a chance that they will pick one that ends up being sort of just a stick drawing done by a 3-year-old that says Morgan and West.
On something a little less paradoxical than solving their own murder.
Oh, I just worked out what one is.
Oh, this is
Sweet Thief. The opening speech is good though.
They've struck again. Another robbery.
Gosh. So soon?
Yes, it's getting worse.
Any witnesses?
Just some children.
Did they get away?
Yes, and quite a bounty.
Well, what did they take?
Millions.
Millions.
Gold coins, gems, ice and midget. What? Sherbet lemons, cough candy, rhubarb and custard. That thief. Stealing sweets is still stealing.
The trick is rubbish, but I quite enjoyed that little dropping the names of sweets into a thing about a thief. That's the only bit of this I'm proud of.
So watching this now, I am kind of wishing that we revived this. I'm quite enjoying all of this. It's quite fun.
It is interesting. We've certainly, if you look at our current work, if you look at something like Politics now, there is definitely a thing of we are more, not only are we more theatrical in this because we've got the lightning and the stuff and the voiceover, we are a bit more silly. Like we have the opening spiel, which is like not our standard I'm Reese, I'm Rob, together we're blah, Magician Syndrome. Like it's much more about the show and quite pacey. So I think this is very much us starting to go like we're trying to do something very written. So like there's the line which you won't have heard, you weren't listening in the opening where we say you'd think we'd avoid the sight of our own murders like Dickens avoid brevity. So I think this is the point when we very much start to put jokes into our language and get that sort of silly, florid Morgan West thing. And I think now we do less written jokes and more things that are silly because we're taking them so seriously. Or we do more you are stupid and I am grumpy.
It's quite interesting just watching this back actually and sort of it making me think about how we approach future shows and whether there's room to do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, the original idea behind this show was that we would do I don't know why, we like challenging ourselves. And one of the things that we decided to do was a mentalism only show, so a show where all the tricks were mind reading tricks. So, I mean, looking back at the ones we've had so far, only Sherlock Holmes and this are mind reading tricks. But the original idea was that every trick, because it was about solving crimes, it would all be mental magic. It would all be people think of things and we tell them and this, that, and that. And we so quickly ran out of ideas.
Yeah. So the premise of this trick is now that this person was a witness to the crime of this sweet thief, and they're going to deduce what happened in the crime, and I'm going to psychically divine from them what it was.
I can't remember this. Like the first one's like where did it happen? So you write down where it happened, and then they write down where it happened, and then you write down what they stole, and they wrote down what they stole, and it bounces back and forth like that. I think.
Oh yeah, they're trying to deduce from me, aren't they? They're trying to work out from
Which
me
does
what
not at all fit the premise of the trick. Because the premise of the trick is that we are
No, I was trying to work out why we're doing it. I mean, I know why we're doing it that way.
The magic trick only works if you write down a thing, then they write down a thing. So, no, I think it is you. It is you trying to deduce from them. Because you're doing it first. So you're going, I think you're going to put this, and then they put it down. But the logic of why we're doing that is very strained, isn't it?
Spurious at best.
Like, it really is.
Yeah, because I was thinking, this isn't a traditional trick. This is a horrendously complicated.
Yeah, it's a horrendously complicated trick, and
Key detail number 3. Key detail number 3.
It's also really boring.
I used to panic back
I hate doing this. This was also the year, not here because this is done in June in Oxford, but in Edinburgh, this was the year that I also fell asleep with my contact lenses in and like scratched my eye and had to do the rest of one of my glasses, which I hated doing because I didn't have old-fashioned looking glasses, and it really killed the costume.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah. Just like to point out to if you're
Don't talk methods.
Comments, there are lots of non-magicians in the comments as well. It's for the fun.
Once we understand here.
Also in the comments, Liam just said, I've just remembered how heavy that cabinet was. Yep, that thing weighed a ton.
So we drove up to Edinburgh in our producer Heather's like Ford Escort estate with that cabinet strapped to the roof. And the four of us, Heather.
The glass bit was in the back with us. It was in the back, but the top bit was on top, wasn't it?
There was one.
Yeah, the bottom bit because it's in two halves. The glass bit I think was in the back of the car, and the other bit was on top. Unsurprisingly, that was also I think the year that Heather may have burnt out her clutch holding the car in first, with all that weight in it. Yep. This trick is long and boring. Like, there's a thing we often talk about when we're talking to magicians now about. Basically, it's better to do one thing well once than one thing well 5 times, because if you do it once, it's impressive. If you do it 5 times, it's boring. What we're doing here is one thing 5 times in a boring way. Also, I think there's a chance we're about to get it wrong.
And if we have all of the
I mean, it was really
very
hard.
Some would say needlessly hard. Far too hard for what we got out of it.
They can name their favourite.
Yeah.
At 3:20 p.m. 2:20 p.m.
So what is that information?
It is month, day, supermarket,
time.
exact time to the minute, afternoon, and then obviously afternoon or evening.
Oh crikey! I remember how we did that as well.
Yeah.
Because that one's a magician fooler.
Which is again is always a terrible thing to aim for. Also, and the establishing bit at the start, they are thinking of, I think, a mode of transport. They had to think of a mode of transport for a getaway vehicle.
They're thinking of a mode of transport, and I now measure their head, which we later reused and we put into the Harry Potter bit, which we did in Time Traveling.
I remember we once got Benny Davis from the Axis of Awesome up to do this trick with us, and the thing he picked was
his mode of transport was the duckmobile.
Yeah, the duck boat thing that Penguin rides Batman Returns. Thanks, Benny. That's easy to reveal. Are you about to draw it?
Yes, I'm about to
draw
it.
That's a mistake we made, asking you to draw a reveal. Although it does give us some leeway, perhaps.
I used to write thing as well.
First time.
Actually, that's not a bad peddler.
What mode of transport were you thinking
of? Thanks. And also, a drawing with the word is a much more interesting way to reveal it.
Oh, it is. No, you're right. It absolutely is. Also, that is the only good bit of that trick.
Confident in their ability.
You think of a weird mode of transport, and we'll tell you what it is. That's a good trick. All the other stuff, nonsense. Yeah. Absolute nonsense.
In particular.
And a perfect example of why you should not get caught up in clever methods, because it's a huge and horrible waste.
Now this trick.
Yes, we are. I believe this is called the crime of the century.
Well, I'm stumped. Me too.
Yeah.
Still, at least we got those transfer papers. Yes. Transfer papers. The new Detective Inspector. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Detective Inspector. Around Potter's D.I. Andrew joins us on the stage.
Also, I don't hate the theme. Doing a crime-themed show is kind of fun. I just think a lot of tricks are a bit pants.
Thank you. Allow us to
you can do it better,
scene detective. Victim is an adult male, medical profession, mid-40s, found brutally murdered in his own home during the course of a dinner party.
6 suspects present, 3 male and 3 female. Exhibit A is an artist's impression of each. Specifically a silhouette artist's impression.
You may of course be wondering why we didn't question the suspects. You see, on the night of the murder in question, they were running around the mansion trying to solve it for themselves. Most unorthodox.
Cause of death is as yet unknown, but we have uncovered several possible murder weapons. See Exhibit B. Here you should see a wrench, a candlestick, a gun, a knife.
It was always so you can't see. Obviously, those are the weapons from a game of Cluedo, and at this point, the audience realise that we are talking about Cluedo.
To eliminate the corridors of the mansion.
Yeah. Also, in the little book that they're in, the sign says not to scale.
Exhibit C.
Now, dear Andrew, shockingly, we've been unable to solve this case, so it does fall to your world-renowned intuition. Think of it less as thinking of the one way it was done, and more like eliminating the 323 ways it wasn't.
And this is it's quite a fun premise.
Again, it's in the same way that with the Sweet Thief trick, which is a less good trick than this one. The Sweet Thief is it's a nice idea for a fun little setup and an idea, but the actual trick was quite a bit disappointing and far too long. And again, I think this is and we talked about this a bit on the Vanishing thing right at the start of the first COVID event thing, but this is a fun premise for a trick, but the execution's really poor because it basically is a trick of admin. We just do a lot of admin and then reveal it, and we've already done a trick. We've already done 2 tricks, in fact, at this point in the show that are do a lot of admin, then reveal that admin. So yeah, I think this trick.
Mind reading, isn't it?
I mean, and this is one of our big problems, in mind reading in general, is that basically it's spending a lot of time getting someone to think of something and then telling them what they're thinking of,
Too close to the body.
which is a bit rubbish.
So if you'd like to choose a...
But Like, I think there is the sort of the nugget of a good idea in here.
Thank you very much. Now, finally, we need to find the location of the murder.
There is, though, a substantial problem with this trick as well.
Discovered. However, we believe he was moved from another
It's really long and stupid. Oh no, do you mean the end?
The reveal isn't where you...
Oh yeah, that's the big problem. The reveal is not at all where the reveal should be.
hand, place it on the body, and then move your arm around the map. I wouldn't take him off the value, he's rather firmly affixed. Move your hand around the map and come to rest on the room you believe the true location of the murder to be.
Also, and here's a lesson we learn. And part of this is obviously time and money and that kind of thing, but these props are very small. And there is something funny about having a little box with the little Cluedo things in them. But I think you could do the same reveal gag.
Saying that,
It really is fascinating how you know.
this theatre is like 5 times the size of the theatre that we were doing
Exactly,
this in
yeah.
Edinburgh. The room we did this in Edinburgh had 6 rows of 12.
But like now, if we were doing this trick, we probably wouldn't use real Cluedo weapons. We would use things that look like the weapons from Cluedo.
Started making his choices. Please retrieve that envelope.
And here's the big problem with this trick, is that person has made a bunch of choices about who did the murder, and there's a black envelope there like you get in Cluedo with the answers in, and inside there is a note basically saying, "Ha ha, you'll never catch me, signed the killer."
Curse you, Plum, you old fruit!
Nothing. That is it. Nothing. Well, very well.
One of my favourite things about performing this trick was that because they had named the killer beforehand, I got to go, "Curse you, name of so-and-so," and then say some sort of pun based on their name.
It's probably best to have some sort of identifying image of him. What's that? This is written.
Hang on. Yeah, Andrew, you said it would be Professor Arthur Plum in the hall with the pipe.
Yes.
Can you read that out to everyone?
I hereby confess to the murder of Dr. Black in the hall with the pipe, signed Professor Arthur Plum.
A round of applause for Dean Andrew!
It's just, well, also it's really obvious.
That it's written on
It's weird that it's written back in the picture, but also it's just, aren't we just doing you pick 3 things, we reveal 3 things, which I think is an inherently boring routine.
And ask some probing questions.
That's why we had to do
Yeah.
Oh, Liam saying we made a lot of cameos for the show.
Oh, we gave we gave it away to them because it was written on the back,
every day.
and we cut them all out by hand
Less than forthcoming with
laboriously.
A scoundrel. What is more, in the event,
the likely event.
that we've got things a little bit wrong, that actually have the right person, it would be useful to know who is honest as the day is long.
And who
Oh, so I believe we've turned around the clock. So since also is that helmet on top of the cabinet? It's not. It's like a cloche, like a serving cloche. We've turned that round, and the sign on that says alibis and motives. And essentially, this is a trick about alibis and motives. If you've seen any of our touring work in recent years,
If you've ever seen us do time travelling tour, it became Hopes
Yeah.
and Fears.
we do a show called we do a trick called Hopes and Fears because we realised that if you're putting this in a show that's not about crime, calling your trick alibis and motives is a weird thing to call it, whereas Hopes and Fears is just like a thing you could do in any show.
Classic Morgan and West trick, knowing we're going to the Edinburgh Fringe with the tiny
Let's
stage.
get 4 people on stage.
Why not? How hard
Again,
can it be?
at least 2 of them I think are former students of mine.
4 cards. 3 of these cards have the word alibi on them.
and one has the word motive.
I'm going to turn my back.
So the premise of this trick is essentially that there are 4 cards, 3 have the word alibi written on, and 1 has the word motive. Each one picks a card, and then Rob essentially feels them up and tells them whether they're thinking of an alibi or a motive.
In a very
Also tells them
particular
what
and
an
hands-off
alibi or
and
motive
safe
is.
way. There are genuine
Yeah,
issues
yeah,
when
yeah.
you are a magician, and especially when you're a male magician, of touching audience members, because there is a certain theatricality about sort of moving someone or placing a hand on them, but also it can be quite uncomfortable for people, and which is a bad thing if you're bringing someone. You don't want to bring someone to the stage and make them feel bad. Oh, and Reese is gone again.
Mr. West, who would you like first?
Oh no, and they're back. You're back. You're back.
A phone call, would you believe?
One second, let me level your mic. Talk to me. Talk to Doc.
Go place his hand on the back of your
Yeah. 1, 2, 2, 2.
Just take a step forward.
Weirdly, every time you get back, every time you come back, your mic comes back in louder. So at some point you might just be very loud or not here at all.
Nadine, just think about your alibi.
Oh, I've just realised that's my friend Nadine from university. Again, the problem with performing in your hometown, your friends come.
Is this something you do regularly?
No.
But what I'm doing, it's what I've done here. I've got my hand on like.
What I was going to say before.
Someone phoned you.
No.
Didn't recognise the number. Oxford number. Don't know who it was though. So,
Could be anyone.
Yeah, there you go. Is that the burlesque cabaret community, I think, was a lot better early on with asking people's consent for things like touch.
Yeah.
I think it's something that magicians are quite far behind on, and we were also very far behind on in many ways, I feel.
Yeah. Well, I think here, because again, what I'm doing is I've got my fingertips on the top of that person, on the crown of their head, and I'm kind of moving it around like we're doing phrenology. Which is, I think we often do, like, I think that is a pretty safe way of laying your hands on an audience member without being really intrusive. Again, as we said before, like, often if we're going to do anything that involves touching someone, I will be the one, but I will be the one to do it because I'm just a small person. Whereas, even though they're...
So in the show now, whenever we do this, we preface it with Mr. West is about to place his hand on the back of your head and ask you a few questions. I do hope that is okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting for the...
And no one's ever said no, I don't think. We've had, like, we've had... Oh yeah, that's really... When you get someone with tons of product in their hair, it's really gross doing this trick. This reminds me weirdly of this is completely unrelated to this trick, but we once okay, you're just loud to me then, that's fine. I'll put you back up. Re-speak for me so some people can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Is this better? We're never using Skype again.
No.
Boo Skype.
Boo Skype. So the situation here is, I think, that talking about touching reminded me. I did a gig once where we used to do a trick, which is a fairly common trick magicians do, where someone takes a card and it vanishes from the deck and appears in your mouth, which in the current era seems like a crazy thing to do with a card, but at the time was like a done thing. And I was doing a gig once where the person refused to then take it from me because it had been in my mouth. And at the time I remember thinking, that's odd, no one's ever done that before. But now, fair play. Absolutely fair play.
Yeah, fair play. So this person's alibi, I believe, that big laugh was because this person's alibi was that they were in the shower.
They're washing their hair, and so as I'm reading their mind, I say to them, "Are you picturing yourself in a state of undress?" Which is usually a funny thing to say. When you are a professional secondary school teacher with a student of yours on stage, what becomes a funny, risque joke really genuinely could become grounds for dismissal. So it's a good thing we left that career.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Well, we didn't know she'd become to the show.
Oh, the book guy.
Once again, Mr. West is just going to place his hands on the back of your head.
So for this trick, I'm always looking for people that are significantly taller than Rob is, because we realised we've got this big thick copy of all of Sherlock Holmes, and there's a lovely little joke to be had. I think it happened spontaneously once, and then we kept it in. It's one of those ones where it's sort of half happened, and so it was always a case of Rob would kind of come up to them and not really be able to reach them, and then I'd put the book down for it, and it was a bit of a Yellow Pages moment, that sort of thing. Liam suggests Google Meets might be able to do one. We're going to tech this tomorrow. Cause
it worked fine last week, and now it's just absolutely not working, and, you know. I mean, we're managing.
On the count of 3, or the person with the motive...
Oh, I don't have signs, do I?
Book nearly killed you. No.
So now when we do this as hopes and fears, obviously the one of them is a hope and one of them is a fear, and I hold up a sign, one that says hope and one that says fear, behind their heads. Which is obviously way clearer than just going, this one has got an alibi, or whichever one it was, or motive.
There's also a huge problem with this trick. Just by the very nature of the trick, the ending is not as good as the penultimate reveal.
And also,
and there's nothing
specifically for that as well, because we don't reveal what the motive is. We just say, you've got the motive, but we've revealed all the other alibis. So the one thing you would need to reveal in solving a crime is a motive. When we do hopes and fears, it doesn't matter quite so much because it's called hopes and fears, and the fears are more interesting than the hope. But the motive is the most interesting bit.
So closing those doors, there's little white signs along the top. They say under lock and key, I believe.
It is called Under Lock and Key. I'd completely forgotten what this one was called. This piece of music was written by Liam Welton, who is popping up in the comments every now and then. This is a cleverly written piece.
He had a massive nightmare. It gets faster when on cue, when we want it to, and it was a nightmare for him to write, so we're forever grateful.
And it's only ever so slightly stolen from the musical Thrill Me.
Yeah.
This is just me getting undressed. We know what the people want.
I've forgotten that.
That's good. We should use that in something else. We should use that in something else.
Why haven't we stolen that from ourselves?
That's the main reason we're doing these rewatches. Is so that we can plagiarise ourselves.
I have a real soft spot for this trick. I like it a lot.
Bit of sound design chat going on in the comments. Oh, those ankle cuffs were so sharp. I've got so many cuts on my arms doing this.
Is that Lizzie Pickering?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. Again, gig in the hometown. We know everyone in the audience.
She used to do all the fundraising for Helen Douglas House, which is a hospice in Oxford. She used to run a show called Childish Things. She knows all of the comedians in the Cotswolds. All of them.
Oh, music just sped up. Very smart.
She's the reason that I got to introduce Rob White on stage to the theatre one. That was fun.
And second set of cup. Those.
So what we're doing basically is training Rob up in a
variety of hang-ups. Those are nice. Those cuffs. Those are like a solid set. They're a bit like Houdini's mirror cuffs. So there's no chain in them. They're just a solid pair of cuffs, which is why they're the smallest pair.
And this was the period as well where we wanted a silent trick in every show. We had sort of like little mini rules about our shows because we still weren't sure what made things good.
Yeah, and basically, if something worked, do it again. And I think in time traveling we'd had the needles bit, which was done to a piece of music. So we're like, let's do an escape to a piece of music. And I do think it adds a tonal difference in the show. I still like doing pieces that are largely done to music. But we are a bit. I think
it's just impractical because you need that.
Yes, it's hugely impractical. I mean, nowadays we carry enough set that we could do it again, but you'd have to rework it somewhat.
Yeah.
Oh, another musical change.
Consultant asked, did you find your background as teachers helpful in presentation? No, we found our background doing Amdram for many, many years from school all the way through university helpful being teachers.
Being teachers did help when we started to do show for children because it really improves your management of children on stage. So what's happening now is that I think I'm wearing 3 pairs of handcuffs, and I've got a thing around my neck that's chained to one of those pairs of handcuffs, and I've got what is actually a pair of ankle cuffs that go round the back of my body on my elbows. And now I'm getting a finger trap put on.
And then I put a finger trap. A little bamboo paper finger trap.
Did we eventually add a countdown for this? Did we add a countdown for this? For the original show? Oh, did you do your hand? Because I thought we had signs that you were dropping.
Yes.
This was a preview. It took me a long time to get out.
Ready?
Hey! Again, preview. You'd have held it up better in the original.
It's just like it's just quite a cute little trick.
With time running.
And and he's still stuck in the finger trap.
It's just fun.
It's
But again,
fun.
slightly ruined by the fact that they just pop out of the finger trap. Like, boom, done, gone.
So that's a big sign.
It says crime-solving magicians, because the idea is that this is the final trick of the show. So this is crime-solving magicians.
No lead, none whatsoever. No.
What we do have, however, is a room full of unrealised crime-solving potential.
This trick is simultaneously quite good and absolute bobbins.
Yeah.
Around applause, Helen joins us on stage.
So the premise of this trick is we're trying to find our murderer, and we need someone to help us find that murderer, because we've got to the end of the show and we haven't found the murderer, because we've just been farting about,
You will have noticed that our keenness for crime fighting comes from the very real need to solve,
And importantly, prevent.
our own murder.
Now, obviously, you have no such incentive. So, for practice purposes, you borrow a small personal effect.
Now, Helen, just for a moment, please don't worry. We promise that ring will be treated with the utmost respect.
As will you.
Yes, indeed. But just for a moment, imagine that that ring has in fact been stolen by a most cunning of criminals.
Represented here by a red envelope.
So we borrow someone's ring from them. Why do we borrow their ring?
I believe we borrow their ring to give them an incentive to solve the crime, because we have an incentive because we've been killed, but they don't have an incentive. Again, this is in our phase of very overly, massively overcomplicated thing. I had only at this moment realised that we're about to do the 3 envelopes SOS thing.
Yep, that's dreadful.
Just really bad. Really, really bad.
So there are 3 red envelopes, one of which has their ring in it.
Yes, indeed. And so, lesson number 1. Forensics.
Also, little things like we do so much really bad
induct
staging in this where we turn it back to the audience a lot. Like, why aren't you stood up stage with that? Or why isn't that moved slightly to stage right so you can stand up stage with it so you're not blocking it when you put them down? Because I don't think you were doing anything dodgy there. I think you were just blocking them from the audience.
No. I haven't got anything to dodgy here to do at all. So we're now asking them to dust the envelopes for fingerprints so that they can then deduce which is the correct envelope.
Aha! A circle, perhaps denoting the position of your ring.
Or indeed perhaps a 0, indicating its...
So when they dust the envelope, that envelope has got a big O on it.
Which we thought was a really smart method, except that basically the adhesive that's on there that the stuff sticks to is really apparent. So you can see me turning them round just as they dust them.
An S.
Aha! Or perhaps a 5.
Or perhaps upside down, an S.
That is a good gag. We should use that for something else.
We're not dusting envelopes again. This was a dreadful idea.
No, just upside down an S. We're not dusting envelopes again. It's a terrible idea.
Do you remember we had to prepare 30 of each?
Yes,
of these
yes, I
envelopes?
do remember that.
Lesson number 2.
Lesson number 2.
So that says SOS
You
on
may
the
of course
envelope.
be aware that increasingly
Because this trick is nothing if not terribly convoluted.
mediums or psychics in order to crack a case.
And we're going to try the same thing using this pack of tarot cards.
Yes.
So,
Why on earth are we using tarot cards? What is that? What is this? I mean, this is very much from the school of our early work of going, you know what makes a good trick? 3 tricks at once.
impending. Beggars cannot be choosers.
I don't even know what we're going to do.
Neither do
with
I.
tarot cards.
I think one of them might appear in one of those envelopes.
I'd forgotten.
Basically, though, or is it death? Have we given her death?
Oh, it's plot, because they pull the death card. They keep pulling the death card. They pull the death card and the magician card.
And something else?
And so it's plot driven. We thought it'd be a nice, cool bit of plot that they pull the 3 cards that point towards our death. And so everything keeps pointing towards our death. And there's nothing
Is this the worst bit of the show, though? Let's be honest.
Here we have.
Could be.
Now, for the uninitiated,
It's got an idea, though, hasn't it? We're trying to do something interesting.
There's not. It's just far too complex. There's too much. The problem with doing stuff like this, where you go, oh, do you see the tarot cards mean this, and the thing spell SOS, and that's different. You have to spend so much time explaining to the audience what's going on.
and lastly, in the middle, we end up with death. Obviously, the death doesn't always signify death.
No, it can sometimes signify the rather immediate end of life.
So now we have a crystal clear reading laid out ahead of us.
Yes.
On to lesson number 3.
Lesson number 3.
There's so much admin in this.
Muscle movements.
Neurolinguistic programming.
Inference.
Or cheating. Yeah.
Yes. Of course, Mr. West mixed the envelopes, and unfortunately for you, Mr. West is a world-renowned body language expert. So it is your task to read him. An example of his expertise in body language is he speaks many dialects, including English, American, French, and pirate. So I would like you to take a look at Mr. West and think, add it to your compiled portfolio of evidence. Where might he have left the ring?
I don't know what's going on at this point in the trick.
So, using the lessons we have taught you.
No, I don't think anyone does.
Just a rule clip.
Theatrics. I would like you to think very carefully. Is your ring in envelope number 1, envelope number 2, or envelope
Number 3. So,
well, let's start with the magician, shall we?
let's see what he could have won as well. Clearly, you weren't attracted to the magician.
This is one of those points where you can clearly... I mean, this was a pre... Let's be honest, this was a pre-roll work. But I feel at this point, we clearly don't know our lines. But there's so much here where we're going... And then we start saying something and find our way to what we're saying. So and this almost certainly was the last trick we wrote for this show.
And from the possible 0 or ring symbol. Let's see what this
Yeah. Well, I remember it being one that we had real difficulty writing.
Evidently, because it's rubbish.
Fake ring. Fantastic. Yes.
So that's quite a nice thing. Doing find your ring and the other rings are a clearly labelled fake ring and a clearly labelled fake ring. That's like a nice us little bit.
So, cut your hands for me.
Yeah, I think this trick has kernels of ideas that are perfectly reasonable. I just think it's too many ideas and it's put together to make an absolute mess.
Oh, there's a note. What's the note say? Morgan
and West, you're out of time.
I mean, especially if you remember, we rewrote this trick just to do the ring.
Coming along this evening.
No.
Also, you'll note, if you watched Time Travelling last week, we ended the show with a fake ending where everything had gone a bit wrong. We do
Same
it
again.
now.
If it works, why change it? So it's also said in the comments, was this one written specifically for this show, or was it a reskin of another one? Every trick in this show was written specifically for this show. Some of them then got reskinned into later work, but everything in this hour was written for this hour. For many, many years at Edinburgh, we turned out a new hour of material every year.
And leave a note to warn us somewhere we'll find it.
Excellent. Where would we leave it? Tea set. How is that a birthday card?
I imagine I was in a hurry. Helen, we don't get that birthday.
I don't know why we used a birthday card for that, other than they thought it'd be silly. But it really doesn't make sense.
Oh, we thought it'd be silly. We thought it'd be fun. Yeah, we thought it'd be funny. We bought 30 identical birthday cards from the works, and we couldn't find a birthday card that looked vaguely Victorian, so it's just super out of place.
Right, so you can barely hear her, so I'm going to sum up what I think she's saying. I'm pretty sure that the idea here was that because we'd borrowed and lost her ring, she was the murderer. That was the idea, wasn't it?
It's a note written to us from ourselves in the future. Yeah. So that birthday card is a note written by Mr. West in the future just before he gets stabbed, saying you've lost this person's ring, and it describes
because this led on to Tricks and Pearl Tricks or something what I was in. But yeah, so the idea is here we're establishing we've got our murderer on stage with us.
There must be something. Where's the watch? There's something written on the back. Okay. This is it. The one message that could possibly save our necks. Yeah. Well, can't hurt, I suppose.
And on the back, there are some stickers that say, like,
it says put the kettle on, which at the start of the show, we said, we've got us and Thing in 55 minutes to solve our own murder. Put the kettle on, the lights went down.
And in fact, someone in the comments said, why hasn't put the kettle on fallen into Morgan and West vernacular? It's because it's specifically for this show. So it's a small tea chest. It's a tiny little tea chest with a bunch of different tea bags. And they can pick any one of the tea bags from that tea chest.
I thought it had their name on it. I thought the one they picked had their name on it.
Oh, yes. Yes, sorry, it could have been you pick any, but no, the one they pick has their name on it. Yeah, you're right.
My favourite bit of this, we then adapted this bit of this. Just the ring and teabag bit became a trick in our touring show for a bit. I really enjoyed the moment of cutting through because you'd always hear the ting as the ring hit the cup. That was a nice sort of aural moment in the trick.
Yeah, and then they'd have to fish their ring out as genuine tea as well.
Genuine tea.
Do you do an encore trick?
I don't think we do. No, from the looks of the video, I don't think we do. So that, I'm not going to subject us to us watching us saying, please tell your friends about our show in 2011.
Do we not do an encore?
No, I'm pretty sure the video is about to end in 30 seconds. What would the encore have been?
Yeah, there we go. So that's Crime Solving
Magicians.
That was
Crime Solving Magicians.
Which, on rewatching it, I really enjoyed.
I didn't hate it.
All of the terrible
I certainly didn't hate it.
Liam says, why didn't we make the badges say put the kettle on? I don't know, Liam. We should have.
I think we would have had them because so this year in Edinburgh we had badges that we gave away at the end of the show because for a while in Edinburgh the thing was you gave away badges at the end of your show. Don't know why, but it became a thing until everyone realised how incredibly expensive it is. But we gave away badges that said I killed Morgan and West. And I think, to be fair, that is a better advertising badge than one that says put the kettle on. Because I Killed Morgan and West has the words Morgan and West on it. That's probably that. And to be fair, that was probably your idea, Liam, to put the words Morgan and West on it. In fact, one of those badges is in this room somewhere. I used it the other day to toss a coin. There you go. But yeah, that was kind of... I didn't hate it.
Yeah, you did.
There's a lot wrong with it.
I enjoyed it. I genuinely enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed it as well through the technical wizardry that we had to endure.
We're going to fix things for next week.
Rob and producer Emma for keeping us all going.
We'll fix things for tech. Tech's a nightmare, isn't it? There's a reason we weren't live. But yeah, I think you.
I'm in the same.
I think we're starting to see like the kernels of what became our act. Or has become our act. We're still our act. The act still exists. We're still alive.
You can see where it ends up going. You can see the kind of direction it goes. Since also says if you're putting out a new show for Edinburgh each year, how far in advance did you start writing and rehearsing the shows? The timeline got crunched and crunched as we actually started being more and more professional. So these days, a timeline for an Edinburgh show is I suppose the science show we started. The science show was a year, I think.
Basically, we would do get back from Edinburgh, start the next one. So Edinburgh's in August, and you start in September, basically.
Yeah, 10 months through to 5. I think the shortest lead time we've had on an Edinburgh show was probably Kids Show 2.
Yeah.
And I think we wrote that in about 4 months, and it showed at the time. I mean, we were still writing it every day on stage.
Yeah. But that's part of it. The reason
that was the show
the reason that we do Edinburgh, runs. Your bandwidth has increased, so you've just become massive, Reece. The reason we do Edinburgh is to run shows in. And so we run shows in by going and doing them 25 times. And you learn a lot about a show when you do it 25 times. Stop it. Yeah, you learn. So really for us at Edinburgh in the early days, like we spent a lot more time writing our first shows than our later shows because in our later shows we were gigging and doing things. And so then you just slap a bunch of tricks together and put them on stage. But that's a really good way of getting a show in shape. So that's kind of how we did it in the early days.
Yeah.
But next week we.
Oh, by the way, if you have any more questions or comments, do let us know.
Comments, we'll answer them now. But who knows how long Skype will last this time. Next week we're going to be watching our show Clockwork Miracles, which was the show we did the next year in Edinburgh. We have a few versions of it, so I'll dig through and find the best sound on one. We'll fix all this tech stuff.
That was the year. So we went from a 60-seat to an 80-seat for Crime Solving Magicians. Sold out every day in advance because we'd just been on Penn and Teller. And we thought, tell you what, next year, let's do the 120-seat room because the year 2012 in Britain will be famously good for live entertainment in August when there's not other stuff going on.
Because no one will just stay home and watch the Olympics. So anyway, that's what we're watching this week. I mean, there is an audience in the video next week. It's Clockwork Miracles. We'll talk about that. What time are we starting next week, Reece? So 8. We're starting at 8. Starting at 8 next week because we have some real world commitments. Because, we still have real lives, in a way, sort of, a bit. The shadow of a real life. So next week, on Tuesday at
The
8,
Shadow.
we'll be watching Clockwork Miracles. Again, if you have anything, the kind of things you might suggest that we might carry on live streaming once we've run out of shows, do let us know. We won't we might do Up and Tell stuff, we might do other stuff. Who knows? We'll think about things. But we have fun, even when the tech is being a nightmare. But other than that, Reese keeps resizing, so I think we should call it a night, Reese.
I think we probably should. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for bearing with for the technical issues. We promise next week it will be better because we will be using entirely different things, even if we have to burn everything down and start again.
Absolutely.
But it's been a pleasure, and we will see you all next week. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell the cat.
Like, share, and subscribe if you happen to be watching this on YouTube after the event or now, whatever. Bye.
Ring that bell. I don't even know what that means.